So the perfect beach. I've called this perfect beach in kind of like a little Baywatch, kind of like, I don't know, funky, colorful theme here, right? So what I want to see from you, and it's in the rubric, right, is two different fonts with two different applications. So in this one, I'm going to hide this away now. Right, so I'm going to pick one font. You just toss your font in here. So I got the text tool. I'm going to pick a nice chunky big font. I pick Skia. You can pick anything you want, but this one works well. That's a nice big one. I'm going to call this one Beach. Not Beak. Beat. Okay, now I want to make a color change to this guy. I could pick it and make colors in here when it's highlighted. But we could also do an adjustment layer on here that is a gradient overlay. Okay, so now I've hit a gradient overlay layer. I've got this cool kind of color happening. If I click into gradient overlay, I can go and pick the colors. So you could pick all these preset ones, right? Like all these different blues. Guys, please stop talking. You got 2 minutes here and we'll be done, okay? So some different things. So I picked something that we want to have contrast over the background. That's kind of cool. You can adjust it here to see how much, you want a little more blue at the bottom, right? So I'm going to go with one a little more mellow, kind of like that. Put this line in the middle for this one. No, we'll just go right off. There we go. Okay, so now I've got that done. But I want to make it kind of pop a little bit. So there's all these different things, right? It could be a drop shadow, right? On this case, I want to do a stroke on it, okay? So by doing that, I've picked this kind of fluorescent color that almost like glows, right? So, and I am going to show you a tutorial later on how to make some cool neon signs using some AI features, but for this, just a stroke will work. So I've got beach there. We could do like a texture on it, right? Then you could pick all these different textures that are in there. I mean, that seems a little cheesy to me, so I don't know, like, right? It doesn't really fit. So I'll cancel that out. So we'll go back and make sure we pick our little color, our gradient overlay. We got it. We have our stroke on there. That makes it pop. Boom, we got beach done. Then we wanted to add perfect on here. You might just want to call it whatever you want, right? You might be like my beach, silly beach, big beach. But we're going to call it, in my case, perfect beach. So we're adding a text layer again. I found another font that's different this time, like a little script or something. This one looks like it'll work. We're going to call that perfect. We can change the color. And remember, if we go over with the picker tool, you can pick stuff up. So I got this cool pink. I kind of want to make it more like poppy though, so we'll do that. We can see how it looks. There we go, perfect. Maybe it's sitting over like that. I kind of like the little angle thing I did. Maybe a little bit smaller. And still, it doesn't really stand out that well, so we're going to do a little feature on this one too, right? We'll click on the layer. And on this one, I want to do bevel and emboss, right? It'll just kind of give this a little kind of jelly 3D look. And if you click inside it, you see these different options. You can bring the opacity down, right? You can change how it looks, the depth of it. So for a fatter font, a thicker font, you would be able to see more stuff. But this one's small, so we want to do that. You have outer bevels. That one looks like it's planted, kind of like embossed out, right? You can play with the sizes here. That's obviously way too much. I kind of like just a little tiny bit. So there we go, perfect beach. We want to make sure it still makes sense though, right? So maybe I want to put that behind that. That might be a cool thing to do, so I'd lower it below. And now it's just kind of like popping out of there a little bit without. So now I can group those guys together just by selecting Shift. Perfect, and I can move these around, right? Probably resize it. And then I'm not done yet, though. I want to add my name. I don't want to add a third font, so I want to make sure I'm using the same one as like beach, right? So I can go grab another one. Just do a small text layer. That is the same one I used, Skia. We're going to make it a thin one this time. We have all these options. Light. We're going to call this Mr. Fairy. Right? How do we pick a color? I go down to the color thing. I pick something off the document. That's too light. Maybe some rock colors. That looks good. Remember, we can change size by just hovering over the text up here and sliding. There we go. Mr. Fairy. And if he doesn't stand out enough there, I could always just add a little drop shadow to it if I wanted to make it pop out. You're just going to have to adjust that drop shadow so it makes sense, right? So just a little bit to make it out. And there you go. You got yourself a little logo, okay? So just play with any of those features in there and make yourself something cool. You know, you don't have to do exactly what I did. You can call it something different as well. I don't mind about that, okay? So thank you for watching that, guys.